Listen, listen, listen. After taking an unexpected production break, we're back and better than ever. Actually, it's pretty much the same thing, just less flowers. What's up, my dudes? Welcome to the Buzz Show. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope everybody's having a good day, and if you're not, I do hope it gets better. Here we are, another video, another failed promise to be more consistent. You know, I swear I didn't intend to take this long to make another video. It's been almost 6 months, half a year. Life is a movie. But you know what? I'm just happy to be back, to be doing this again. And on that note, let's just start today's video. Today's review is going to be on the Showmax original series, The Girl from St. Agnes. Thought I'd switch it up a bit. When the sudden death of a popular student at a prestigious all-girls boarding school is quickly ruled a tragic accident, Kate believes something far more sinister is playing out behind the scenes. She sets out on a journey to uncover the truth and exposes far more than she had hoped to find. During the course of the investigation, the secrets of the students and the staff are slowly unveiled. The Girl from St. Agnes has 8 episodes and quite a few things happen throughout. So let's get into it. Yeah. So let's start with the story. The show takes place in a fictional all-girls school found in the Midlands of KZN. During a school formal dance, or was it a matric dance? I'm not even sure. The school's janitor finds a dead Lexi Summerfeld in one of the buildings. Everyone seems to be shocked and shaken by this news, but certain people have suspicious reactions to her death, which is how the whole show begins to unfold. Okay, I have to be honest with you guys, just for a second, okay? This show is very white. It's probably the whitest show I've ever watched. Not ever, but definitely on local TV. It's even borderline European because I think mainly because some of the actors spoke in a British accent, and I'll get into that later on. The opening scene of the show felt very theatrical rather than a drama series, but it also kind of sets the tone of what kind of show this is going to be. Now, I'm not sure whether this was the best approach especially for a murder mystery, but they did it. What I will say about the show is that I absolutely enjoyed how the story was written. It had a really good flow from the beginning to the end. Every scene served a purpose. At first, it may feel like, okay, why are you showing me this? But as time goes, a lot of this is used to set up all the characters. I also enjoyed how they switched between the present world and the flashbacks. There was no dramatic difference between the two worlds, and it wasn't conventional in how it was used. It just flowed smoothly into each other, but you were never confused whenever it happened. I also like how the creators took us into the world instead of flaunting it. I felt like I understood what it would be like if I went to a prestigious school or a prestigious private school like that. And the subplots that took place within the story were familiar to our society at large, really. They took these themes that affect the whole world, really, not just our country, and placed them in an environment that you would recognize, which is school. From the teaser, the show seemed like it was going to be about the kids, but a lot of the show revolves around the adults, whether it's like teachers or the parents. Obviously, there were some things that I didn't enjoy much about the show. First part is Kate, the protagonist, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. The next point is there is a lot of talking in the show. Also, question, do they use the lettering system when they're grading papers in private schools? Because it felt very much like something from an American TV show rather than something that happens here. Next point is I initially thought we were experiencing the show in the perspective of Kate, who is the main protagonist, but at some point we weren't anymore, and it feels indecisive. Also, another question, does it matter where somebody gets baptized? Because there was a baptism that happened in school, but it happened at the school swimming pool. So Sex scenes are unnecessary. And the reason I'm saying this is there's an episode in the show where for the first 10 minutes, there are just naked people. There are just naked people for the first, I'm not even exaggerating, there are just naked people for the first 10 minutes of the show. To round it all off, the show has a very slow start, very slow, but things get very interesting towards the end. Now, I'm gonna move on to the characters. First up, we're gonna start with Kate. Kate is the main protagonist of the show. When Lexi is discovered, Kate is the only one who believes that she didn't kill herself. Instead, she believes that there's foul play involved in her death. Okay, I have a few things to say about this character. Okay, the main thing being, why are you angry? What's that got to do with us, dude? It's Ngenapi. I mean, to be fair, she calms down towards the end of the show, but still, she's always angry. She's also the worst detective in history. She'll get one clue and immediately jump to a murder accusation. Throughout the show, Kate was very theatrical, which could become very distracting and borderline annoying. Honestly, I wasn't feeling it. Also, the actor had a British accent, which is confusing considering the fact that this thing is in KZN. In South. Lexi is the girl from St. Agnes. She's the girl who got murdered. There are flashbacks that happen throughout the show which reveal her character and what she was like when she was still alive. The deeper Kate goes into finding out the truth, the more she realizes that she didn't know Lexi as well as she thought she did. Even though Lexi is dead in the show, she had a pretty cool arc, and I think the actor painted her picture really well. Jenna is one of Lexi's best friends and a top student in the school. When the show first starts, you can almost immediately tell that she's hiding something. As the show progresses, you start to see her crack under the pressure. Megan is Lexi's other best friend who she grew up with. She in particular takes Lexi's death pretty hard, and throughout the show, she's just trying to find a way to move forward and cope with this loss. Next is Jason, who is Megan's brother and is currently dating Jenna. Jason also used to date Lexi, but they had a very, very bad breakup. So Lexi's death also unveils a lot of his hidden secrets, which are very fucked up. Shane is Kate's best friend and partner in crime. As much as he's trying to help Kate find the truth, he also has a hidden agenda lying beneath the surface. Gary and Philippa Clayton are Megan and Jason's parents, and I guess they're wealthy people. They're also protective of their kids and their family's legacy. Philippa probably has my favorite character arc in this whole show because in the beginning you think you know who she is, but as the story unfolds and things start to unravel, she isn't able to ignore her instincts, which lead her to the right places. Robert Hobbs gave the best performance in this whole show. He's a really brilliant actor and can play a villain like a motherfucker. Whittaker is the principal of this girls' college. When Lexi dies, it triggers a pain that he experienced almost 20 years ago, and instead of dealing with it, he sort of brushes it off and throws himself into his work, which affects his personal life. Last character I'm going to talk about is Dylan, who is one of the teachers at the school and is a very religious man. He's also very up and he needs help. That is the best way I can put it. I don't want to say anything because it's going to be a spoiler for you. So there are a few more characters that I won't mention right now, but they all play some role in figuring out who killed Lexi. This was actually a pretty solid cast, I have to say. I think they did a great job. There are one or two exceptions that quite honestly weren't as good, but I'm not going to be that person, at least not today. So I'm just going to move on to everything technical. You know what, sometimes I wonder if calling this part technical is correct, but I can't think of another word. Visually, I think the show was shot really well. I like the choices that the DOP made with how everything looks. Although there's a point where they chose to make some of the shots shaky, which I didn't get, so I didn't enjoy it as much. The grade added a dark and mysterious tone to the show, which I enjoyed. It felt very on board with what the show was. Another thing I have to quickly mention is that there was a lot of mist in the show. It was a bit overkill. When it comes to the edit, initially I thought this whole thing was very slow, but after watching the whole thing, I actually get it. I think this made me appreciate the story a whole lot more. I do still think that some of the pacing in certain scenes could have been a whole lot faster. There was also a point where there was some intercutting happening between scenes that I didn't enjoy as much. But otherwise, I think it was solid. The title sequence of the show was There wasn't anything spectacular about it. So I guess I don't really feel anything. Production design was fantastic because they sold this fantasy to me. I think I read somewhere that they actually shot this in a country club instead of an actual school. And that's pretty amazing because I genuinely thought this was some school. Same thing goes for the costume and the makeup team. I think they absolutely brought the vision to life. I think they executed the vision they had for themselves. Sound design was great for the most part. There were a few things that could have been better, but that was more about the direction of the show rather than the sound design not actually doing a good job. For the music, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest about the music. I didn't necessarily have a problem with it. I just thought it was very white. Maybe it was good. Some critics absolutely enjoyed this. Overall, I thought this show was actually good. I had a number of questions in the beginning of the show, and almost all of them were answered in the end. Almost. And you actually find out who the killer is instead of it ending on some weird cliffhanger with some random person being the killer. I just think it takes too long for them to get to the point and grip your attention. But at the same time, I get it because it needed all the setup. So I don't know how they could have done this. The show itself got a lot of great reviews. When it got released on the 30th of Jan in 2019, it became the most watched show in Showmax's history, beating all the other international shows that were on the platform. It was also the first original series that Showmax had ever made, so its success meant that they were definitely going to be making more of these shows. It also received a few SAFTA nominations, including Best Achievement in Script Writing, Best Achievement in Original Score, and Best Actor in a TV Drama for Robert Hart. The show also received a lot of backlash online for having a predominantly white cast, and people definitely weren't happy about this. Now, I have a theory about this, and I hope I don't catch fire. I also felt the same way when I initially saw the promo and before I watched the show. But after watching the show, the casting actually makes sense. Now, stick with me for 1 second, okay? The show is an elite school in SA, and quite honestly, you're most likely going to find majority of the people that go to these schools are going to be white people. Also, the show does cover a lot of real themes, and one of them is race. So they do somewhat address the race issue here. Who I actually think is at fault here is Showmax themselves. You're asking why? I don't think this should have been the first original show. If they had initially released a show that was more reflective of our country's demographic, then rolled this out later on, it probably would have been better received by South Africans. Angilu, guys, I'm not fighting. This is just a theory that I have. I recognize that I could be wrong. Please do not attack me. And that's pretty much all I have to say about The Girl from St. Agnes. Listen, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below and tell me what you thought of the video or on the show if you've watched it. Please consider subscribing to my channel. New video will be up whenever it's up. Lord knows when that's gonna be. And until next time, from me, Buzz, it's goodbye and nyap tada.